Magneto is undoubtedly a top-tier tank in Marvel Rivals, one of the best choices you could see your tank player lock in at the beginning of a match. His ceiling is extremely high, and his kit was designed to reward people who have good game sense and a solid presence of mind during the chaos of battle. So in today's video, we'll break down the basics of his kit, but then we will quickly transition into more practical tips to help you elevate your Magneto game to the point where you are the difference maker in your matches. So let's get into it. Anyone can read his abilities, so I won't spend too much time here, but here's a quick summation of Magneto's kit. Okay, he has 650 hit points, so he's a chonky boy. He has primary fire attack with 10 metal projectiles before needing to be reloaded, and these travel at a medium distance and then detonate in a small localized AoE with the potential to do damage to multiple enemies or even tag enemies around cover. He has a magnetic transparent shield that he can raise briefly to absorb all incoming damage, and he has the ability to put a temporary shield on either himself or on an ally to make them invulnerable for a few brief seconds. And finally, he has a mag cannon, which charges up over time or can be charged whenever Magneto's shields take damage from enemies. Once charged, the mag cannon does increased damage and also knocks targets back. You'll know it's charged when you see the 3 lines here turn purple. And lastly, Magneto has an ultimate called Meteor M, where he launches himself up into the air and raises a comet over his head. All projectiles get sucked up into it, charging it up. When released, it will fall and deal massive damage. And this ultimate can take too much damage though, which will cause it to break apart in the air before you have the chance to launch it. So be careful. If it seems like it's taking too much damage, you may just want to go ahead and throw it early. Alright, with the basics out of the way, let's talk about how to make Magneto an absolute menace on the battlefield. You know that Bugs Bunny meme where it's just Bugs going, "No"? Well, that's basically Magneto's whole vibe. If you're playing him right, then several times a match, you will find yourself casually telling the enemy, "No." And Magneto has several ways to politely decline an enemy. The first is with his metal bulwark. So this shield he can apply to an ally. Okay, so let me show you some examples. If you have good game sense and you can think on the fly, here's what you can do. My healer here is helping to keep me and our duelists alive. So first, she gets targeted by a Psylocke who pops her ultimate and tries to focus her down. So I just toss that metal bulwark on her and she's able to survive the entire Psylocke ultimate. So Psylocke has to retreat and has no kill to show for her efforts. Now immediately after that, Bucky decides he wants to pop his ultimate and take our healer out of commission. But again, I see this happening and quickly get the metal bulwark on our cloak and dagger. And again, she's able to survive the ult and Bucky has to retreat with his tail between his legs. Or how about this instance where I hear the enemy Storm shout out that she's going to use her ultimate. So I scan the battlefield looking for who she might be targeting, and I see the circle appear beneath our lone healer behind me. But again, I'm able to get that metal bulwark on her and she survives the ult. Storm ends up having to pivot and reposition and try to find a target, but it's too late. She ends up with 0 kills to show for her effort, and then I chase her down and drop her. So that's one way to say no to your enemies. Another way is to use the Iron Bulwark, which is the same ability except cast on yourself instead. And you'll see me use this to completely shut down divers a bunch in this video. So take this Wolverine, for instance. He's a tank buster. You know, he sees a Magneto and he thinks, this is his moment. I'm the prey. He's the hunter. But as soon as he tackles me and his rage goes through the roof and he's ready to go berserk for a couple of seconds, I just pop that shield on myself and take 0 damage. Now he's wasted his charge, I'm back in position, and he has to bail. Or how about this one? Magic dives on me, intending to take me to limbo against my will, but again, I just pop that shield on myself and then hit her with a mag cannon shot to throw her away like a rebound girlfriend just before spring break. So that's the second way we simply say no to enemies. The third way is with our magnetic curtain. Okay, this shield is impenetrable to projectiles, but it's only up for a few seconds before needing to be recharged. That's what makes it different from Doctor Strange's shield. But that means that you can pull this up exactly at the right moment that you want to. Whenever an enemy Groot drops his ult and pulls me and my teammates into a cluster, I can just pop that shield up, and it ends right when the Groot ult ends, and everybody's safe. So we basically get protection while we're locked down. I can also use it to completely block Iron Man ultimates, and other Magneto ultimates as well. Other than that, I tend to pop it when we're in an open lane and we need to advance while taking no damage. And when the shield is up, I try not to jump around a ton because I do want my teammates to be able to comfortably stand behind it without having to sort of like guess as to where I'm going to be moving and following my erratic bunny hops and stuff like that. So I tend to keep my movement much more contained when I pop that shield, just to help my teammates out a little bit more. All right, now let's talk about your bread and butter, the primary fire for Magneto, called the Iron Volley. Now, I love this primary fire so much. It does big damage, it can splash and hit multiple enemies, but it can't do precision damage, so don't bother aiming for the head, just go for center mass. But the damage is split up between the impact and the explosion. So Iron Volley shots travel 25 meters before detonating, assuming they don't impact on something before then. Now, the further the projectile travels, the larger the explosive radius will be. So the trick, if you really want to maximize here, the trick is to really maintain a 25-meter distance from your targets in order to spread your damage in the largest radius possible. But you can still do full damage up close. You just have to hit directly onto the target. That's why I say shoot for center mass. You just want to directly impact your target for the best damage output. Now, these projectiles are not hit scan, which means you'll need to lead your shots. So pay attention to your enemy's movement and place the projectile in the vicinity where you think they are going to end up, and you'll get a hit. Also, if you get used to maintaining that perfect distance, you can absolutely chew up flyers like Storm and Iron Man with Magneto's primary fire. Healers like Luna, they also go down especially fast too. And when it comes to judging that distance, just going and spending some time at the practice range right at that 25-meter marker on the floor, and just kind of get a spatial sort of memorization of what that distance kind of looks like. Also, if you're in combat and you want to know where exactly am I, ping the enemy that you're shooting, and it will show how many meters away from you they are really quick. So that's just a great way to just in the moment be like, where are they at? Okay, they're 20 meters away. You can take 2 steps back and you keep shooting. You know, stuff like that can really come in handy. A quick side note, if you're right on top of someone, it can actually be more effective to toss in a melee after each primary shot. So it's kind of faster chunk damage to go fire melee, fire melee, fire melee, as opposed to fire, 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 fire. You know, you get what I'm saying there? All right, let's move on. Next, let's talk about positioning. Okay, Magneto is a frontline tank, so you should be right up front taking the aggro and the fire for your team. But while you're there, you're going to need to be aware of your teammates and their roles. Sometimes you're going to need to protect your healers, but most of the time, enemies are going to be in front of you. So if you really want to be helpful, you're going to want to use your bulwark shield to defend your divers like Thor, Hulk, Venom, Star-Lord, Black Panther, any teammate who extends and pushes into the bulk of the enemy team. That's where you want to toss out your bulwark shield. You've probably still got a healer on you, so you don't need to shield yourself. Let the guys who do big damage get in there and get a pick so you can push on it. So toss the shield on your divers. This match in particular, I ended up with 25 kills and our Thor ended up with 26. That's because I was right up in the front the whole time, and anytime I saw Thor go in, man, that shield came up on him immediately. This made him nearly unkillable, and we both popped off because of it, because he'd fly in, he's invincible for a few seconds, he's able to do some free damage, gets a pick, and now our whole team is right there to pounce once we have the numbers in our favor. So be sure to support your divers. Quite honestly, you should be shielding a teammate probably twice for every one time you shield yourself. Like, sometimes you got to keep yourself safe, no problem. That's certain. Sometimes you got to put the shield on yourself, but more often, you need to be keeping the people healing or dishing out big damage safe first. We do need to chat about the mag cannon really quickly too. This just needs to be a part of your bread and butter as well. Like, this just gets mixed in with your primary fire very regularly. So you should be charging this up very rapidly if you're using your bulwark shields liberally. And then you should not hold on to it for long. There's no reason to hang on to it. Use that mag shot whenever you can. It does great damage, but it also helps shove people around too. So try to notice when enemies are moving forward, when they're advancing, because they're likely getting into position to do something specific. And when you knock them back, it disorients them or sometimes throws off their assault or their rhythm. So use it. It's great against duelists in particular when you can, pick them out of the crowd and slam them with a high-powered shot. It also is faster than just going primary fire, primary fire, primary fire. If you go, because you can go primary fire, mag shot, primary fire, primary fire. You know what I mean? You get this bigger chunk of damage in a short amount of time if you mix in those mag shots as well. And the last thing I want to talk about in this video is how to use Magneto's ultimate well. I think his ultimate is best used to bully someone in particular. Aim for the squishies, aim for the duelists, aim for the healers. Don't feel like you have to get a multi-kill with it. Obviously, it's nice if you do, but you just want to make sure you kill something. Okay, Moon Knights are easy targets. Luna Snows are easy targets. Cloak and Daggers can avoid it pretty easily, though, so I don't recommend that. But and I also don't recommend throwing it at tanks. And just know that any Doctor Strange who's worth his salt will definitely jump up into the air and try to tank your whole ultimate by shoving his shield in your face. This guy here tries it, but I actually pull away from him and drop it on a couple of squishies that are sort of back to my right instead. So you definitely want to be ready to adjust if needed. And remember that people can break your ultimate if they focus fire it down as well. If you try it against a Punisher who's in his ultimate, good luck, he's going to bake your ult immediately with his gunfire, so just don't bother. Also, if there's a Doctor Strange on the other team, you may want to wait until he goes down to pop your ultimate for free on someone, or one of his teammates, or use it when he's out of position and he can't get to you in time to block it. And with that, I think we talked about most everything on my list today. But I think I'll do some more Magneto content by breaking down some comp matches in their full entirety. You know what I mean? Walking you through my entire loop uninterrupted so you can see how a full Magneto match should play out with pacing, positioning, target prioritization, everything. Until then, hopefully you enjoyed the video. And if you did, would you maybe leave a like on it? As that's the best free way to support the content right here on YouTube. And consider subscribing for additional Marvel Rivals content. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the arena. Bye-bye.